If you're living in the United States right now as an immigrant, or you're planning to come here soon, I need you to pause everything for a moment, because what I'm about to explain may affect your future, your family's future, and even your long-term chances of staying in the country legally. Many people have been sending messages saying they feel confused, scared, and unsure about what the new Trump-era immigration policies might mean for them, especially when it comes to green cards. If that's how you feel, you're not alone. And today, I want to calmly walk you through what's happening, what these rules could mean, and what steps you should start thinking about now. There's a lot of noise online, a lot of rumors, and even some misinformation. But I want you to take a deep breath because in this video, you will get a clear and simple explanation of what these tougher immigration rules are, why the administration is pushing for them, and most importantly, how they could impact people who are applying for green cards or already have one. Let's start by understanding the bigger picture. When a new administration comes in, especially one that campaigned strongly on immigration, changes usually happen fast. And the Trump administration has publicly stated that it plans to tighten enforcement, reduce certain types of immigration, and introduce stricter evaluations for benefits, background checks, and eligibility reviews. That means policies around green cards, asylum, work visas, and even basic immigration interviews may shift in a more restrictive direction. Now, what does tougher immigration rules really mean for everyday immigrants? It does not automatically mean that your green card is taken away, but it does mean the government may look more closely at your background, your financial history, your criminal record, your use of public benefits, and even your long-term intention to stay in the United States without becoming a burden on the system. Some of these ideas were already discussed in previous years, but now they're being revived and pushed harder. One of the biggest concerns right now is the renewed focus on the concept known as public charge. Many immigrants have heard this term, but don't fully understand what it means, and that's normal. Public charge basically refers to whether the government believes you might become dependent on public assistance. In the past, this rule was used in a very limited way, but during Trump's previous term, it was expanded to include more programs and more factors. Now, similar ideas are being discussed again. Imagine this. You're applying for a green card. The officer reviewing your case doesn't only look at your sponsor's income anymore. They may also look at your age, your health, your work history, your education level, your English ability, your credit score, and whether you've ever used certain public benefits like food assistance or Medicaid. Even if you never used benefits, the officer could decide that your profile suggests you might use them in the future, and that could make your case harder. For example, let's say someone came to the US on a student visa. They're educated, but they haven't worked much yet. Their credit score is low because they're new to the system. Their sponsor's income meets the minimum, but not by a huge amount. Under a stricter public charge approach, that person could be seen as a higher risk. Another example is an older parent applying for a green card through family sponsorship. Even if the family can support them, officers might examine the parent's age, health conditions, or lack of work history in the United States as potential negative factors. Now, does this mean every case like this will be denied? No. But it does mean officers may have more power to deny applications based on their judgment. Another major change being discussed is increased scrutiny during green card renewals or when permanent residents apply for U.S. citizenship. Some people think that once you have a green card, you're completely safe forever. But the truth is, permanent residency can be reviewed, and in very rare cases, it can even be revoked if the government believes someone committed fraud, wasn't actually eligible, or violated specific rules. With tougher policies, certain actions that were previously ignored may now be taken more seriously. For example, if someone received their green card through marriage but cannot provide proof that the marriage was authentic, the government may revisit the case. Or if someone lived outside the United States for long periods without re-entry permits, they may be questioned about whether they abandoned residency. These are not new laws, but the level of enforcement could increase significantly. Another area where many immigrants feel anxious is criminal background checks. Even small offenses, especially those related to fraud, domestic disputes, or DUI, may face more scrutiny. The Trump administration has made it clear it wants to prioritize deportation for certain categories of immigrants, including some green card holders with specific criminal issues. Again, this does not mean everyone with a minor incident will be deported, but it does mean more cases will be reviewed rather than overlooked. Now, what does all of this mean for people who are still abroad waiting for visa interviews? It means the consulates may take longer, may require more documentation, and may ask more detailed questions about finances and personal history. Even people applying through employment-based categories may face closer evaluations of their job offers and company sponsorship. You might wonder, why is this happening now? The administration argues that these policies are meant to protect American workers, reduce government spending, and ensure that immigrants coming to the U.S. are fully self-sufficient. Supporters say it will create a stronger system. Critics argue it unfairly targets low-income immigrants and puts families under unnecessary pressure. And many immigration lawyers believe these rules may cause confusion and delays, especially at a time when the immigration system is already overwhelmed. So, what can you actually do right now to protect yourself? The first step is to stay informed. Understanding the rules is your best defense. When you know what officers look for, you can prepare stronger applications. Second, make sure your documents are organized. Tax returns, employment letters, bank statements, medical records, and proof of relationship if you're applying through family. A well-prepared file is harder to question. Third, avoid using public benefits unless absolutely necessary and unless you clearly understand whether they will be counted against you. Some programs used by children or pregnant women may not affect the case, but others could. When in doubt, speak with an experienced immigration attorney. Fourth, if you already have a green card, try to maintain continuous residence in the U.S. Avoid long trips outside the country and stay away from any legal trouble. Even small issues can complicate things under tougher enforcement. Fifth, if you're eligible for citizenship, consider applying sooner rather than later. U.S. citizens are not subject to these immigration rules, and naturalization can provide long-term stability for your family. Lastly, don't panic. I know that's easier said than done, but fear leads to mistakes, and mistakes lead to immigration problems. Remember that changes take time, and not every proposal becomes law. Even when policies tighten, many people still successfully get green cards, work permits, and citizenship every single day. The key is preparation. You came to the United States with hope, maybe for a better life, better opportunities, a safer environment for your children, or a future full of possibilities. Those dreams are still real. They don't disappear just because policies become stricter. What matters now is being informed, being prepared, and taking every step carefully and confidently. If you need help understanding your options, talk to a qualified immigration lawyer, not random posts online. Every person's case is different, and professional guidance can make a huge difference. And remember, you are not going through this alone. Millions of immigrants are feeling the same uncertainty, and channels like this exist to give you clarity, guidance, and reassurance. Thank you for spending your time with me today. If you found this explanation helpful, please subscribe to the channel for more reliable immigration updates, legal insights, and step-by-step guidance. Your support helps us continue providing free, trustworthy information for the immigrant community. Stay safe, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video.